Ramallah, West Bank. Palestinian protesters battled Israeli soldiers on Thursday in Jerusalem, Ramallah, and other places in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, one day after President Trump announced that his administration would recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The Palestinian Authority called for a general strike in Palestinian cities. In Gaza, the Islamist Hamas movement urged its followers to ignite a third intifada, or uprising, against Israel. Shops in Jerusalem's Old City were shuttered. On the edge of the Palestinian city of Ramallah, Israeli forces fired dozens of rounds of tear gas and stun grenades at hundreds of Palestinian protesters gathering to air their anger over Trump's statement. "This will be bad," said an ambulance driver as young men burned tires and pelted the soldiers with stones. Emergency vehicles ferried out the injured, with casualties reported on both sides. Thick black smoke and tear gas choked the air. Donald Trump said Jerusalem is for Israel, and I tell him, no way, go to hell, said one 43-year-old woman in the crowd, a traditional Palestinian scarf wrapped around her face. Jerusalem is for Palestine, forever, said the woman, who declined to give her name. Trump made the wrong decision, said 15-year-old Sarah Way, who was making her way toward the demonstration carrying a Palestinian flag. We will raise our voices for Jerusalem. Clashes also erupted in East Jerusalem and at the border fence between Israel and Gaza. In Bethlehem, tear gas filled streets strung with festive lights for Christmas. At one of the main checkpoints between Jerusalem and Ramallah, soldiers fired sponge bullets at children throwing stones from behind metal trash cans. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported that 51 Palestinians were injured in the various protests, with one person in critical condition. Trump's announcement Wednesday that he would move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and his declaration that the United States recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital reversed a decades-old U.S. policy. Many fear that the step could spark another bloody conflict in the region, but it remains unclear how long the demonstrations will last. Some Palestinians said they felt emboldened after a perceived victory last summer following 2 weeks of protests over metal detectors installed at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh called for a new uprising in the Palestinian territories and declared Friday a day of rage. Tomorrow should be a day of rage and the beginning of a broad movement for an uprising that I call the Intifada of Freedom of Jerusalem, he said. He called on the Palestinian Authority to stop security coordination with Israel and enable the resistance in the occupied West Bank to respond to this blatant aggression. Our people and factions of the resistance are in a permanent meeting to follow developments to confront this strategic threat that threatens the city of Jerusalem, he added. For Trump, Jerusalem is an extension of a global culture war. Israel's army said it was preparing for an increase in violence in the coming days and that it has beefed up its troops in the West Bank, adding reinforcements to its combat intelligence and territorial defense units.